tell you my story. Not the version that fits into a comment. Not the version that's easy to digest. I want to tell you the full version. Because this channel didn't come from motivation. It came from survival. I was born in 2001. I was born into a situation that was unsafe from the very beginning. My biological parents were addicts. My biological father was violent and abusive. What I experienced in my early childhood was severe, prolonged, dehumanizing, removed by social services and police and placed into foster care. I've been told that I was found malnourished, confined, and neglected. I didn't share that for the shock. I share it because early trauma, it shapes a nervous system long before anyone has language for it. For the first time, foster care, it brought stability. I built real relationships. I experienced something that was close to safety. But eventually, I was adopted. Despite concerns that I wasn't ready, despite warnings that more time was needed, I was placed into a home that promised to be a safe haven. It wasn't. My adoptive father, he had a temper. My adoptive mother, she couldn't stop it. Anger, it became punishment. Mistakes became reasons. I was verbally abused. I was physically abused. There were moments of violence that have stayed with me every day. And once again, the place that was meant to protect me, it became something that I had to survive. I learned very young that safety was conditional, that love could disappear, that my body needed to stay alert. That matters later. Years passed, and quietly my body began to change. Pain appeared. Mobility became unreliable. Fatigue settled in. Not all at once, not dramatically, just enough that I knew that something wasn't right. By the time I went to university, those symptoms had already been part of my life. I went far away, on purpose. Distance, it felt like freedom, finally being away. But the symptoms, they followed me. Pain became constant. Mobility fluctuated. I was in and out of hospital repeatedly. I had to restart my degree, change my course, adjust my plans, and still no one could explain why and what was happening to me. At one point, I was hospitalized because I couldn't walk properly. I couldn't walk at all. I used a manual wheelchair at times, not once, not briefly, but I used it repeatedly. I was too unwell to manage alone, so I had to return to my adoptive family home. On the drive back from the hospital, I was told that I was lazy, that I just didn't want to try. The accusation, it hurt more than the symptoms themselves. Back home, I used a walking stick for months. Every movement took effort. When it was time to clear my university accommodation, my wheelchair was still there. I was told to move out of the way so that it could be put in the car quickly. Because, word for word, I was told that it was embarrassing. That word stays with you. Eventually, I returned to university again. The symptoms never disappeared, they just shifted. I learned to ride a moped, then a motorbike. Not because I was fine, because I didn't care anymore. The pain was constant, the brain fog was relentless, the disbelief was crushing. I needed to feel something that wasn't suffering. And part of me didn't really care what happened. Eventually, a car pulled out in front of me. I was thrown quite far off the bike down the road, and I broke my wrist. And somehow, even then, the focus wasn't on concern. It was still doubt. After that, things collapsed. There are parts of this period that I'm not ready to share publicly. But what I can say is this. I became homeless. I stayed in hostels. I survived day to day. Eventually, I was placed into council housing. It was an upstairs room. It's not accessible. It was not suitable. But it wasn't the streets. By then, I had spent years in hospitals, years being disbelieved, years without answers. And then in April of last year, I was finally diagnosed with functional neurological disorder. After all this time, I was finally diagnosed. And the diagnosis didn't end the fight. It started another one. I had to fight the housing system, the medical system, the assumptions that a diagnosis should magically fix everything, which it didn't. I spent months trapped in an upstairs bedroom, unable to safely reach the kitchen, unable to reach the bathroom, or the outside world. Eventually, I was moved into temporary accessible accommodation. That's where these videos actually began. Not because I was healed. I'm still not. I don't think I will be. But because I finally had enough stability to speak. Now I'm here. I'm still waiting on permanent housing, still living with FND, still managing pain, fatigue, brain fog, neurological symptoms, the seizures. But I'm no longer silent. I've been through abuse, neglect, disbelief, medical trauma, homelessness, disability. I've hit rock bottom. And I know what this life can do to a person. And that's why this channel exists. To tell the truth. To correct misinformation. To name stigma. And to be honest, to let people living with chronic illnesses and disabilities know. To know that they're not imagining this. You're not weak. You're not alone. And if you're early in this journey, I wish that someone had told me this. The disbelief is not your fault. The system is not built for uncertainty. But your suffering, it's real. And it deserves care. This story, it's not about pity. It's about survival. And if you are still here and you are watching this, then you're surviving too.